All right, fellas. Welcome to Mint Map Spaces on this beautiful Friday. This episode is actually quite special because it's the last episode of 2024. And yeah, I hope you all had a great Christmas, had a great time with your families. I hope you ate some good food. Um, yeah, let me welcome Jason first. Jason, how was your Christmas, man?
It was good, man. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly, man.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, it's fantastic, man. It was me and the wife mainly, and we just took it easy and had a super peaceful, restful time. Did some gifts, tree, lots of food. She's a bit of a foodie and enjoys cooking fantastic food, so we had great food and just rested, man. It was a quite the departure from the rest of the year, and that the rest of the year is pretty hectic and working crazy hours. So, but it's fantastic. The weather here has been amazing. I mean, I think it was like 70 degrees Fahrenheit on Christmas Day. Sunny shorts and t-shirt weather. We're out doing hikes in the desert, so it's been really nice, man. How's Christmas in Germany? I was watching some pretty funny videos from that German dude I shared with you the other day. He was talking about how German people don't really put their trees up until like the last minute. Is that true? What did you and your family do?
Well, I have no tree actually, to be honest. But I think it's true for some people at least. But yeah, my Christmas was great as well. I think it was basically 3 days straight of food coma, and yeah, was quite cool. I think it's for everyone, meeting your relatives and talking to people you usually see once a year, and basically the topic is always like, hey, what's going on in your life? And yeah, a lot of that stuff. Not too much crypto actually. Like I haven't really checked the markets. The only stuff I read was basically, some people saying we will have a Santa rally. Some people said we will have a Christmas dump. Looks like whatever happens, there is some sort of term for that. Have you checked the markets at all during Christmas?
Just briefly, man. Like I really took this opportunity to unplug. I mean, we were doing some, like I was kind of on hold, like a holding pattern, waiting on the dev to finish the code for the staking site, and so I was in and out all the week leading up to Christmas, and by the time, we basically went live with the test of the staking site on like the 23rd, I think it was. I think I sent you guys out a message then. And, by the time that happened, I was just over it. It's like time to take a break. So, did some gym, did some pickleball, did some friends and family thing, phone calls. But basically, I checked the market a couple times just to like verify my theories against it because every year, like my theory is that people dump to reorganize their portfolios. You sell your winners and buy your losers, basically is how the old school guys used to say it. And so a lot of people, I'm sure, were taking profits. I saw that the BlackRock ETF took profits to the tune of like $1.5 billion, I think it was. So that drove Bitcoin down quite a bit because it was the Bitcoin ETF, and that made headlines actually. So that was kind of interesting. But for the most part, I mean, it's been pretty much like every other cycle. I mean, people dump this time of the year because obviously December 31st marks the end of the tax year for the average person, and you want to harvest your tax losses or lock in whatever gains you're going to lock in, and then plan for what you have to pay or distribute going into April here in the States. I know it's different in different countries, but yeah, I mean, really no surprises here, to be honest with you. I don't think anything really changes for crypto until the inauguration on the 21st. And I think that's going to be a big celebration day for a lot of people, especially crypto people who've been paying attention and were, like younger single issue voters. So yeah, I mean, for me, I don't really see anything crazy happening. So I'll just take this moment to say hello to everybody. What's up, Hassan? I see you down there. Hope you had a fantastic Christmas. I got your messages. Appreciate that. Pierre, what's up, buddy? We need to get the rundown on what you guys do over in France, man. It looked like you guys had a beautiful tree and a beautiful setup for Christmas. So I'd love to hear what your experience was like. West is here. What's up, buddy? We're just going to kind of free flow today, guys. Just feel free to come up and talk about your experiences or whatever you'd like to share. Take us into your world. get to know each other a little bit. This is going to be like Alex was saying, the last spaces for the year, obviously, and we'll go in from there. But feel free to request the mic if anybody wants to just say hello and tell us a little bit about what you did for Christmas, or what you're seeing in the markets, or what your experience has been like over the couple weeks leading up to the end of the year. We'd love to hear from you. So back over to you, brother man.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was actually recapping the year for myself a little bit, and I remembered like exactly 1 year ago, the whole crypto space was basically waiting for the ETF to be approved, which happened on January 11, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. This year, and everyone was like, "Okay, this is going to be the start of the biggest bull run we ever had," and not too much happened, and then we had basically the halving everyone was waiting for. We had the halving, and then we had the election, obviously, and now it's like everyone is basically sticking to the cycle, to the idea of everything runs in cycles, and usually we should see a lot of upwards movement in Q1 2025. Do you think the next 4 weeks will be very significant in regarding this cycle, and if it holds or not? Imagine like we will see no upwards movement like until the end of January. Will you be worried?
Yeah, I mean, I think the next month will be the test for the cycle holding. But you have to realize, when people talk about the cycle and where Bitcoin peaks, if you look at what's happened in the past, and again, like the legal language says, past performance does not indicate future value, kind of a thing, right? Like the truth is, the Bitcoin peak gives you about 21 days, right? On average, you have about 21 days to decide at the top of the market what you're going to do. And it's kind of similar to when the whole FTX, the whole FTX debacle happened. You had about 21 days to decide if that was going to be the bottom of the market. Like there's this 3 to 4 week window that the market gives you to decide if you think it's peaking or not, right? So in the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think the inauguration will be the last key event, unless and until the Congress here in the U.S. can announce some formal plans on the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So the inauguration is going to be huge because that will signal the first ever, pro Bitcoin president. And then if the laws go ahead with Senator Loomis and what they're planning for the strategic Bitcoin reserve, that would also be another impetus. But the other thing too is I think this Christmas season and this fall season with Bitcoin making these insane highs, hitting, I think it went up to like 107,000 US, somewhere around in there. Everyone was talking about it. And this is good marketing, right, from one standpoint, because it sort of promotes the idea that crypto should be something that serious people look at. But the flip side of that is when the average person is buying at all time highs, it also creates the most risk for them to buy, right? So if you're a new investor coming in, do you really want to buy the all time highs, or do you want to wait for it to come back down? So it could go either way in terms of what the masses do. So we just have to look at numbers, and from a numbers perspective, a very tiny fraction of people even own crypto at all. Bitcoin is probably like the largest holding from some of the most traditional investors. And everything else that we're doing, with Solana, ETH, Cosmos, NFTs, all the rest of it, I mean, these are afterthoughts for the average person. So until we can get to this place where we, have the average person taking a hard look at these technologies, I don't really expect the market to move outside of what the existing buyers and sellers are doing. So, I mean, that's kind of my theory on it. And if the next 3 to 4 weeks hold, with the inauguration being a key event, the strategic Bitcoin reserve being a key event, we could see this thing run up to 120, 150, Bitcoin specifically. That would push ETH to maybe 4,500, 5,000, Solana 300, 350, somewhere in that range. So I think the Jubilee, we'll know if the Jubilee is really going to be in effect about 2 weeks into January, leading up to that inauguration event. What's up, Jilly? See the fame ladies in the house. Hope you guys had a fantastic Christmas. Feel free to request the mic if you want to tell us what's going on in your world. We're just kind of free flowing through the holidays and talking about what's happening in the world. And yeah, back over to you, Alex.
Yeah, man. I mean, regarding the cycle, I feel like people should not forget that we have basically a sample size of 2 or 3 cycles, maybe. And, people's most of people's beloved meme coins haven't even gone through one single cycle. So, are you a believer in the cycle? I mean, imagine ETF declined. We have Kamala Harris for president. Do you think we would have the same future crypto-wise compared to now?
No, definitely not. I mean, the left side of the aisle made it clear that they wanted to kill crypto in many, many ways. I mean, they basically called it a money laundering scheme, with Elizabeth Warren kind of leading the charge. And she basically has a slush fund that she runs money through and funnels to herself. She's one of the most crooked people up there, along with Pelosi and the rest of them. So, I mean, I think the big threat to them is just status quo. Like if they can maintain status quo, they can maintain power and keep paying themselves through these back channels. So, I mean, the fact that literally every county in the U.S. swung more to the right than to the left, it's been a pretty telling tale that people are fed up with this nonsense and they want to see some semblance of justice, especially as it relates to their world and their income. Like, I mean, when you work 5 months out of the year for free because you're paying that much tax, I mean, that gets your attention. And then when the U.S. Government decides to steal another month or two via inflation, I mean, that's not really going to earn you any votes either. So, I mean, the new administration has a chance at doing something great. We'll see if they do or not. A lot of people in the tech world seem to think that they will. I mean, but the proof will be in the pudding, and still, whatever thing that they want to accomplish or do still has to get passed by Congress, which again is still full of the old guard. So, I mean, it'll be interesting, but we'll see what they do with the opportunity. That's all I can really say at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got Jilly. Jilly, do you have a take on all this?
Well, of course I do. And so my take is, for starters, uh, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were absolutely the worst candidates for president in the history of the presidency. I mean, I don't, I still, I'm going to say this, like, I am at heart a Democrat. Uh, I just am. Like, and but that being said, I mean, of course, I'm really happy that Trump won because there was no option. There was no option. But I am a liberal person. I'm a Democrat. I believe in those ideologies. I don't. It's really, it's a really hard paradigm for me, like being, a gay girl, and sort of part of. I I believe in a lot of the ideologies of the left. I also believe that there's unfortunately something nefarious there now, and I don't know how long it's been there, but I don't know, it's pushing these agendas that I would normally agree with, but now they're just pushing shit too far. Maybe I've gotten off base here. I don't know. I think I think basically what's happened, like, in the election of 2016, I feel like, um, there's a there's a power structure that has controlled the presidency since the beginning of it, and that power structure lost control in 2016 and has now lost control once again here in 2024. And although I think it's really great, it also makes things really volatile because those powers don't like it. And so they're not nice. And so they're going to try stir up shit, in my opinion. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Dude, I think you're spot on. I think that's exactly the problem. I mean, I grew up in rural Georgia, conservative household. My dad's a deacon in the church, and every time I talk to him, he's not worried about gay people. He's worried about perpetual war. He's worried about, government spending. He's worried about being taxed to death. He doesn't give two shits what consenting adults do behind closed doors. That's not a priority. And so I think in this election it's been kind of funny because I was joking with him. And in my household, I'm the libertarian, so they make fun of me because I don't go along with the right, and then the left makes fun of me because I don't go along with the left. So I'm kind of in the middle, like just trying to do what makes sense and use reason and logic, which of course is often absent in these conversations. Um, but when I look at what's happening in the world, it's blatantly obvious that the right voted for Democrats in this election. Trump is a Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard is a Democrat. Elon Musk is a Democrat. Like, these people are all Democrats. And so when you see that the people on the right have had their fill of what Jilly was calling basically like this power structure that's existed behind the scenes for years. I mean, that's telling right there. I mean, so I think the wisdom in this election won for once, and I think that just has a lot to do with the fact that we have access to platforms like X or social media in general, where we can tell the truth to one another and sort of reason our way through things. So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, one thing that really struck me about this election is I had this feeling because of the last election. I had this feeling that, this power structure that we're talking about was all powerful and they could do whatever they want. And now, after seeing what's happened, a missed assassination attempt, which was close, and now this huge election loss, like they just got hammered and there was nothing they could do about it. And it made me feel like there's hope, for this world, for this country, for everything, because I literally thought that, I'd start, because that's what they want to do. That 1%, those weird, whatever it is in the background, they like to make you think like they're all powerful, but really they're not, and they're losing power. And that's one thing that I really loved about this election. And and I love that it was super decisive, because I know that there's like, listen, I understand like the Democrats that are upset by this because, again, I'm in the middle in the respect of certain ideologies. Like there are certain people on the right that are they're just awful. There's still this feeling of, I don't want to hear about Jesus and guilt. And it's like if you like Jesus or whatever your belief system is, that's all good. But I don't want to be told, I'm awful, or transgender people are abominations, because those people are my friends. That's my people, and they're just struggling to be themselves. Like everyone can think whatever they want, but they're just people and they're just trying to be themselves. And so it's hard, because there is part of the far right that really hates people like us. And that's what hurts, even though I know that this is the way it needed to go.
Yeah, there's crazies in all camps, that's for sure. I think like coming from like the background that I came from, like I never saw any of that. I've never met a person on the right who was committed to harming other people or wanted to see other people do poorly. I think it just came down to people wanting to be left alone. So, and that's one of the reasons that I was always drawn to libertarian ideologies, because if people are free to be themselves and do what they want to do, then as long as you're not hurting someone else, you should be left alone. And one of my favorite memes was always, I believe gay married couples should be able to protect their pot plants with guns. Like that pretty much sums it up. It's like, yeah, that's the way it should be. It's just like, let people be, as long as they're not forcing their way of life on you. Who cares? And I mean, that's the way it should be. So I'm with you there.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyways, I actually came to this space because, last couple of weeks we've been here and talking about, well, a couple of weeks ago was just all about, the art and the Fame Ladies and the Fame Lady Society. And then there's a bit more talk about it last week. But, I really wanted to know more about Goodfellas. Like, I actually don't know how you guys came about, what I want to know your story. And I know it's probably going to be boring for people here because they probably already know the story, but I don't know the story. And so I wouldn't mind hearing how it came about exactly.
Yeah, for sure. We got to get Alex telling the story, because like I keep going on all these spaces and telling the story, and and Alex doesn't tell the story. So
Man, to be
Give you the
completely
cliff
honest,
notes and can fill in
I,
any color where there
I,
needs to be. But I think we
Well,
have similar
I just want to,
sorts
just
of
want to, I
genesis
just want to,
or origin stories in that the collection that we now own was taken over, or I guess was founded by a group of people or a couple of guys who basically built this fantastic collection and group of people and had built the collection up to having quite a bit of notoriety. And then at the last minute, for whatever reason, I guess they decided they couldn't deliver on their original plan. They just sort of disappeared. And Alex and I were probably the two top holders of the collection. I think I was sitting on something like 200 pieces, and I know Alex was sitting on quite a few pieces as well. And we had been through rug after rug, chain after chain. Like it doesn't really matter where you go. Everyone was trying to throw something against the wall to see if it would stick. And we just came together at the end and we were like, dude, enough of this, enough of this nonsense. It's time for, the grown-ups to enter the room. And so we got together and over months of back and forth with other holders, Alex and I basically emerged as the two who were going to put a plan together to salvage the artwork. And then we started to make everything about that. Because we realized that if someone rugs you and runs off with, the keys to everything, and you don't have IP rights, then you don't have anything because you don't have control of the piece and you don't have any guarantees that you actually are owner of digital art or anything that's related to it. So we set about to create an IP rights based business whereby we acquire IP over time. And you touched on this the last time we spoke, and I think this is really, really key to our business model. You touched on the fact that people will collect and collecting will go in waves. So like when I was a kid, people would collect G.I. Joe figures or Star Wars figures, but they didn't have any money, so you'd get one or two, but you'd miss all the ones that you wanted. And then now that I'm an adult, and I've got some disposable income, all those same people are cycling back around and they're buying all this stuff up and they want to get their kids involved and other people that are close to them involved. And, it's the same thing with classic cars. It's the same thing with books, comics, any form of collectibles, antiques, like these things just cycle. And the earliest stuff is always the most valuable stuff and the most sought after stuff. So rather than seeing a collection just die off and dispose of its artwork where people burn it over time because they want to get their rent money back from Solana or whatever chain they're on, we said, let's just acquire as much IP as possible and put ourselves in a position where we can become a licensing company for that over time. And so basically we reached out to the original artists of the OG collection, and that took months because of all the opacity in the space. But we finally got a legal document in place, and we were granted IP rights and exclusive rights to the art. So we're able to salvage the art. And this was key because the original founder dropped the artwork with the promise that they were going to pay the artist on a percentage of sales. And then at the last minute made the mint free. So obviously, any percentage of zero is zero. And we've seen this done multiple times. So we just got tired of seeing artists screwed, holders screwed. And, we started reaching out to all of the artists. We were able to find them over, I think it was about 6 months that took us to get the artwork from the original collection and then also our female collection signed, documented on paper. And then I was able to take that legal document to Magic Eden and also to OpenSea and say, listen, we own this artwork. All the old artwork was stolen. We need it delisted. And so we were able to get it pulled from the major exchanges because the artists weren't getting paid and the holders were getting screwed. And there was just no way to use the artwork unless we could have full control over it. So then we began to reissue the artwork, but we did so in a different way. So rather than dropping massive numbers of pieces on a saturated market, what we did was we sort of innovated what we call the batch mint. And we were batch minting 100 pieces at a time to a small group of people that we gated coming into the community. And the gate was that they owned one of 100 ordinals. And those 100 ordinals became our 100 bosses, and they sort of have run of the show. They're the highest benefit holding pieces or holders, collectors in the collection inside the community. And so those 100 people became our core group. And what we've been doing over time is just doing our level best to eliminate the degeneracy that we see in so many collections by gating who comes in and working with high quality collections and artists like yourself who also have collectors who care about the work. And we're bringing them into, secondary and tertiary collections like the 21s and then the Artist Incubator collection, which your piece lives in right now. And our intention is to continue to grow all of those galleries over time in small, very well done batchments where we can really focus on the quality of the art and the quality of the pieces. Another thing that Alex and I really dislike is, when you get a generative piece, you mint a generative piece, and it just looks like ass because there's so many traits and so many combinations and no one really edited it. So you get like this, hodgepodge or mismatched coloration. It just doesn't look good. So the batchmate gives us 100 pieces to focus on, and we can go through and we can edit the metadata, make sure everything lines up, and then release what we feel is really high quality work. And so over time, we're just continue to add to these galleries and to this IP collection and to continue to put it into the hands of our collectors. Now, once they hold it, the big thing that we found as well is in addition to the artwork being more or less like stolen from people or not very well done or low quality or inaccessible, we found that code is often the same way. And so in terms of staking, this is something that is very key to our collection because the people who hold our pieces, we want them to be able to stake them for our token, which is called AU, which is short for Aurum. And Aurum is the chemical symbol for gold. And this is just representing the fact that we're looking for gold in the marketplace. And so over time, and in the first quarter of this year, actually, we're getting very close, people will be able to mint new NFTs using our tokens solely. So they'll be able to basically hold to earn over time and will generate value inside Aurum and ultimately make it a tradable token as we continue to expand. But the whole thing hinges on us just continuing to build and acquire IP. And so we've acquired 4 different major IP collections, 2 of which are live, actually 3 of which are live, the 4th isn't live yet. And then we're also building the Artist Incubator Gallery and the 21s Gallery, which is basically the same as the Artist Incubator Gallery, but it's just done in our style. So that particular one is the only difference between those 2. And over time, as you kind of touched on with the collectibles market, everything cycles. The early stuff is worth the most. We want to acquire as much of that early stuff as possible and build as much of that early stuff as possible so that we don't see it fall by the wayside or get burned or destroyed and be replaced with just garbage in the marketplace. And man, that's a long nutshell version, but hopefully that answers some of the questions.
No, that's awesome. I really appreciate that. I really admire what you guys are doing. So you have like the original Ordinals collection, and then you said you're acquiring other collections. Like what other collections are you acquiring?
Yeah, so the standard is just, is it good looking quality artwork? And so we have the original male form collection. We acquired the secondary female form collection. We acquired a collection called Soul Rockers, which was done by an amazing illustrator out of Italy. It's absolutely amazing artwork, super detailed. And we have acquired another one that we haven't released yet, and that one's going to be upcoming probably in the coming year.
Incredible. So I guess I was like, okay, so the bosses, that's on Ordinals, right? So that's like Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, so what we did was when we first took over the project, obviously we had a lot of degeneracy happening in the project, right? And so we had to find a way to create a group of collectors who cared enough about the artwork to actually invest in it, right? And one of the things that we see so much of and we see as a huge impediment to progress in the space in terms of art is the fact that so many artists just give their shit away, right? And so we have a rule, we don't give anything away. Like there's nothing for free. Like if you're looking for free or you're looking for games or you're looking for distractions, then that's not what we're doing here. So we're looking for people who want to purchase high quality art, which puts a lot of pressure on us to create and find high quality art. And that's the way that we want to keep it growing and in that sort of direction. The 100 ordinal bosses are the first drop that we did in August 2 years ago. And we basically offered them as a gateway to come in to the new version of the project. And so if you hold an ordinal, you got certain benefits and you still get certain benefits. And those ordinals are capped at 100 pieces. There'll never be any more created. And they also exist on Solana, but they exist as a copy on Solana, which was one of the benefits to owning the ordinal. So they are part of the primary collection, but the original IP was created on Bitcoin as ordinals. And so if you're holding one of those, you have a special role inside Discord, and you also get special benefits, including always being able to mint with whomever's minting first.
That's so awesome. I really admire what you all are doing. That's because personally, like that's what I'm here for. I'm here to build and be part of the herstory of the blockchain early on, and that's why we so you know that's why we guard the collection, the Fame Money collection, so dearly. Like, we know what this means, and so that's why we protect the legacy and try to grow it out and represent it as well as we can. And we've had to do so without money, and that's sort of where the Fame collection came in. But I love that. I really think that's amazing, and it's interesting how certain frequencies are attracted to one another, and I guess why we ended up working together. So that's awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I'd love to get one of those 100 ordinals. It seems like a pretty exciting piece to own.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, when we first spoke, I had definitely felt this energy. And the thing that really sort of took it over the top was when you were talking about the collection. And I think you actually used the words protecting the artwork back then. And I was like, okay, this is my girl right here because we are living on the same wavelength. Like, we're literally here to be protectors of quality. And anyone else that we can find on that same journey, I'm in love with. So I appreciate you and what you guys are doing in that very same vein.
That's awesome. So okay, so like right now, okay, what was that last collection you were talking about where you said was an amazing illustrator? I'm trying to keep this all together here. What collection is that, and how big is that collection?
Yeah, this is a collection that we basically picked up from. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the band American Hi-Fi or the band Everclear. I mean, they're pretty big in the States, but the drummer for Everclear actually created this collection. His name is Brian, and I was able to make friends with him a while back, and they did a mint, during like the throw everything at the wall days to see what sticks. And they had a failed mint, and then they disappeared, and then they came back, and all the rest of it. But I was able to actually build a relationship with him in the real world and go to a couple of his shows and hang out backstage with those guys. And just a really solid dude. And he trusted me enough to actually hand over the keys to that collection. And so basically, we took it over late this past year and then started changing over all of the update authority and running the code on that. So we haven't done a whole lot with it yet, but we are making it stakeable so it can be used to earn AU. And it's called Soul Rockers. And so I think in Magic Eden it's listed as Soul Rockers X Goodfellas, so Soul Rockers by Goodfellas, basically. But they're super inexpensive pieces, and I mean, I think I'm holding like 1,000 of them. I think there was like I think the original collection was 8,000 pieces, and it was really creative the way that he did it because there was a four-piece band, so you had a drummer, you had a guitarist, you had a bassist, and you had a singer. And so you had four styles of NFT in the one collection. And then there was a male and female version of either. So you had 1,000, male singers, 1,000 female singers, 1,000 male guitarists, 1,000 female guitarists, so on and so forth, which was pretty innovative at the time because no one was doing that, like to have different forms in the same collection. And the illustrator out of Italy that did that, man, he just killed it. So like if you zoom in on any of those pieces and look at the detail work, it's just phenomenal.
Well, I'm definitely gonna check that out. That sounds really cool. You just don't know what year was it originally released?
I want to say 21. I want to say it was during all the crazy that was going on in 21. I could be wrong. Pierre might know. Bilo, if you want to share and tell us if that's correct or not, but I want to say 21.
Okay, well, but I mean, it's minted on the blockchain, so it says it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, good point.
It's yeah, that stuff's pretty immutable, you know. It gets on there and has a date. And
Yeah, it's funny, right? Didn't even think to look there first. I was thinking to ask a real person. So too funny.
sorry, no, because anyways, the Fame Ladies are minted July 12th, 2021, and so we're pretty proud about that because we supersede all the other sort of female collections you may have heard of, including WOW, World of Women. And I haven't checked their floor lately, but I think it's last time I looked, I'm gonna say zero point 0.6, zero point 0.7. And I'm stocking gorgeous Fame Ladies for like, $60 to $100. And I'm gonna tell you right now, like anybody who's here and loves NFTs in the history of NFTs. And if you don't own a Fame Lady, like, because that's the thing, like when I try to sell you a Fame Lady, like we get nothing out of it. Like, I don't get anything out of it. Um, and I'll try to get you to move it into our collection where then the sales commission will in perpetuity go to fight human trafficking. But there's nothing, the council, everyone just works for free to protect this legacy. So, you're talking about people that are here and love the space, love protecting this legacy, and you can get an asset for under $100. And not only that, you could pop into my DMs and I will help you find the most gorgeous one because I know everything. I know absolutely everything and what is the best, and I know like why it's the best because there's so much history, including the people that have collected it and use it as their PFP almost own the style now, and and because they're involved with it, it's become more popular. Anyway, so if anyone ever wants any help, like buying a Fame Lady, seriously, it's the safest asset to buy because of how low the price is and the fact that since 2021 there's still collection offers, and that means it's money, it's a currency, and and so to me, I don't know, it's an absolutely epic asset to own. And this space, like, everyone likes to get on these quick roller coaster rides of whatever. But honestly, I truly believe the key in this space, and you could even point to Bitcoin, it's about investing. It's about buying and holding what you believe in. And I can tell you right now, you want to believe in the Fame Ladies. Anyways, sorry, I know another sales pitch, but it's just the truth. And so I'm passionate, and so I'm gonna let y'all have it.
No, I love it. Seriously. No, I love it. Honestly, it's just like we said, you have to be a big fan of what you do. If you're not, no one else will be. And so I can appreciate that about you. And I know I'll definitely be picking up some pieces from the collection. There's a couple that I'm really drawn to. That pink Glock piece, I was going to ask you if that's part of the collection or if that was a piece that you generated on the
That,
fly, because I'd love to have it.
no, that is in my personal collection, and I would be honored. I would be. Well, it's one of my favorites, but you are also one of my favorites. So I'm all about building this, this because okay, the Fame Ladies are super legacy driven, but the Fame collection is the heart and soul of like the actual Fame Ladies, and so they're both so important. But if you love that piece, I mean, I love it too. But my goal is to get these pieces because there's only 888. That's all there'll ever be. And a lot of them will not even be mintable because, well, there's so many reasons. This collection is so deep and whatever. there's really only going to ever be probably about 600 and some floating around. Like they'll even be possible to own. And so, I work very hard to get these pieces into the hands of people that I think are special. And so, if you love it and I think you're special, I'd like to find a way for you to have that piece.
Well, that's very generous. I appreciate that. We can definitely have that conversation because when you showed me that piece, I mean, it's so in line with our pieces. Like I was like, it's kind of kismet, like it's meant to be. So we're definitely gonna have to chat about that piece for sure. Alex, what are you doing over there, bud? Where are you seeing beauty in the future of NFTs, my friend? You haven't really spoken much about collections that you've been into, but I know you follow markets and collections probably a lot closer than I do. What are you seeing, buddy?
I'm actually not, to be honest. Like I do observe the markets in terms of what's moving and what doesn't. But I mean, I remember when Jilly told us about her collection, and when I felt that passion, inside that whole project and all the emotions connected with it, I felt like this is actually something people should be invested in. And I realize the same thing in our project as well, because I feel like people actually feel part of being in a genuine like community, unlike many others. I mean, I see still a lot of degeneracy in the NFT markets. I see a lot of people just looking for the quick buck to flip an NFT, and make some money. But in the end, I mean, you said it already. We've always been looking for a community of holders, of dedicated holders, of people who actually enjoy art, and I think we did a pretty good job with that. And talking about our community, I think we still owe them a little explanation, because we actually promised them a couple of gifts for Christmas. And yeah, we had an announcement that people from the Stargaze collection, so Siren Syndicate holders, um, would have to submit their wallets in a ticket. And I think you took a snapshot of all the Solana holders. So yeah, there will be a special gift. Maybe you can explain people a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're working on something. I still don't have the original artwork from the artists, but the final week of the year, we're going to get everything out to everyone. And I'm just waiting for like final artwork so I can sit down and actually pull it into the collection and do all the data work. But the artist that did this is one of our bosses, and this will be the first time I think we've had an in-house boss do a piece of artwork for us. And or no, second time, sorry, because Yvette did some backgrounds first. But his favorite trait in the collection is the rose, one of the favorite traits that he has inside of our collection. So he's done a version of that for us that's going to be dropped. And we're going to have actually a special drop. Since Jilly's here, I guess we can talk about this. We're actually going to have a special drop for everyone who's holding Jilly's piece as well. So there's those two pieces are coming up, and then in honor of what Fame Ladies are doing, we're probably going to end up dropping some tokens on you guys, and we'll do it air claim style. We won't do drop style. We'll do air claim style. But those are a few of the things that are coming down this last week of the year. Like I said, we were literally finalizing the ownership of our staking code on Christmas Eve's Eve, right? So we literally didn't stop working until late on the 23rd, and then I basically just unplugged. So definitely needed to take some time. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I'm excited about all of it. We were able to accomplish a lot this year. I think we've had 30 plus mints at this point, of anywhere from 21 to 100 plus pieces, and every single one has been sold out. And so I feel like the community has done an amazing job of supporting the project. And so just so you guys know, like everything that you purchase goes to support what we're doing. So like, when we do a piece with an artist, like Jilly, for example, Jilly gets paid, their organization gets royalties. The guy who's doing our code, we just spent, I think, like $2,000 getting this code set up on our own server that we have the keys to. So all of the stuff that we're putting out, we're using to expand the project, whether it's Discord bots and all kinds of the rest of the stuff that create validators and quality user experience. It's just amazing. I think the fact that when you look at Web3 as a whole, a lot of people don't realize like the sheer number of servers that have to be involved to run all this stuff, right? So like if you have code on chain, you're not directly accessing that code from a UI. You have a UI that accesses some JavaScript that accesses the code, and all these different things have to run on different machines, and they have different setups. And you have to have different RPC servers, and all of this stuff just gets really, really expensive over time. And I think this is why so many projects do it poorly. And so the thing that Alex and I have really, focused heavily on is owning everything that we put out, from a user experience all the way down to the artwork, and then owning servers. So we've also invested money in servers and, having enough RPC compute so that people don't have delays and really bad experiences like we've had with old code or other staking services. So, I mean, this has kind of been the focus. And then I know a lot of it is sort of behind the scenes and people don't really care about what's happening behind the scenes, but just know that everything that has been coming into the project has also been invested into creating a positive user experience so that we can build a solid foundation to grow. And bonus week, this last week of the year will be just an expression of gratitude to all of you for that. So thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I feel like, I'm working on a graphic, to summarize what we have achieved this year. And it's crazy to to get reminded of all that. I mean, we actually started the Young Artist Incubator this year with Maria, and then we had like the whole drop from Daria. We had Massan's drop. Recently, we had Jilly's drop. On top of that, we had obviously the some 21 drops, and we had I think the best Batchman so far. The last one we released, and then we even expanded to another chain on Stargaze, and I think we met a lot of great people over there. So it's been an incredible year, and I think we should, or we can be very thankful for the community we built. Very thankful for all the people we were able to work with. So yeah, big shout outs to you guys, and we are really looking forward to a great 2025. I mean, I think the whole crypto world has been waiting for that year for quite some time. Now we've almost done it. Let's see where we go. And yeah, this should be it. As Jason mentioned, staking is hopefully live soon. Bilo and I actually had a chance to stake a piece. It was very seamless, very smooth, and we loved it. And yeah, this should be it for today. Thank you everyone for being here. And yeah, we look forward to see you guys in 2025. Hope to work with you guys again, and have a great New Year's Eve. Celebrate the new year, and we will see each other next year again. Have a great one. Bye bye.